Hey guys, what's up? It's week 54. I just want to remind you, this is probably the last video that's going to be reminding you for entry in the MVD Rewind collection. You can win 9 titles. It's going to pop up right here or something like that, including Lionheart, Abominable, Return of Swamp Thing, a couple I'm going to review in this video. So if you want to enter that, just follow the link, put your email address in there. Sorry, no foreign, or I don't want to say, but no United States gents and gals only. Sorry about that. And just enter your email address. You'll receive ads from like MVD and companies like that, but it's mostly stuff you'll be interested in anyways. I just want to give you the heads up on that. Also, do me a favor and like the MVD Rewind page, Facebook page. All the links are below. So yeah, that's going to be the last time you'll be reminded of it. The contest ends May 31st, so get your entries in before that. And I'll probably shoot the drawing that day, and then it will be in the following Saturday's update or reviews or whatever. So make sure that if you're interested in those titles, you enter the contest. I have some reviews for you. Jeremy's going to be sitting in on quite a few of them this time around, but let me hop right into this. The first one is a mouthful. Went to Coney Island on a mission from God. Be back by 5. This is an MVD Rewind title. This is the 6th in their series. I had never heard of this movie, so when they announced it, I was like, with a title like that, man, it's got to be kind of unique, kind of different. Definitely a cult movie. Yeah, this has Jon Cryer in it. He actually wrote part of it. I had never heard of it. It's made in the late 90s. And the premise here is fairly unique. It's kind of an oddball movie. It follows the story of 3 friends, and it starts off in their early childhood with narration, and it jumps around throughout their life. And it's about 2 of their friends trying to find one of their friends who supposedly went kind of crazy, and now he's homeless, and they're trying to find him. He's supposedly at Coney Island, and in the winter digging through cans and trash. So they basically set out to find him and help him, but they find out a lot about themselves and about their life along the way, while they run into all these strange characters. And it's fairly funny, but it's also a little bit heartfelt for sure. And I like the idea, you know, there's something about getting to somebody's emotional core by going through like childhood moments or childhood scenes when you're doing flashbacks, and they do that fairly well. They establish these characters pretty good. Jon Cryer is really good in it, and there's a lot of like familiar character actors, like Frank Whaley pops up in here, and a lot of familiar faces, but a lot of people you just don't know their names. And there's really the 2 major characters. The one friend is important, and he plays a major part, but he's not. He's supporting for sure. But the 2 leads, Jon Cryer and his other friend, his friend has you know, like a bad leg, and he's an alcoholic, and he's dealing with a lot of things. And as the movie progresses, you learn more about his past, and you have these 2 linear stories, and of course they're going to come together at the end. And I like that. It was well done. It had a very unique look to it. It looked cold. It looked like it took place in this area in this winter, and it captures it. And it feels older than it actually is. It feels like it's from a time period. They do really well of capturing the decades too when they go back in time. So I really like that. They go through like the 80s, and you see them, and they add like hair to them and change their hairstyles, and you see how these people became who they were and why they're like that. There's some nice things on here. There's a commentary which I enjoyed seeing. There's a behind-the-scenes featurette with interviews and everybody. There's a new interjection. The director says this is still my most personal and favorite movie here. And throughout the movie, like they use little things. They say, well, this actually happened to a friend of mine. This actually happened to a cousin of mine, and this actually happened to me. And then they incorporate that in the movie. So it's always something that sometimes you watch movies where like they don't know what they're talking about. It just doesn't feel like they know what they're coming from anywhere here. This one legit feels like this stuff. You know, it's real, and it feels personal, and it gives it a nice touch. I actually really enjoyed it, and I really didn't know what to expect. When it started, I was like, with a name like that, I really had no idea what I was getting into. But it feels like something kind of like Stand By Me in a lot of ways. And there's a great scene, although it's very heartfelt but very funny at the same time, about this guy who's heartbroken in this restaurant, and he's like, you think I'm an idiot, but you don't know anything about love. And he gives this really great speech, and it's equal parts funny and and touching, and I really liked that scene. I thought that guy was a really good actor. There's actually a lot of solid acting in this movie, and a lot of weird characters. I kind of like that, where two people go on this weird adventure, and they discover a lot about themselves and meet all these strange characters. One of the, I can't think of his, Dominic Chiese, or whatever his name is, from The Sopranos is in here. He plays a nice character. I love his story, and they're all just little small stories, and the characters don't really wear out their welcomes. You just get, you know, a brush with them, and then like brush past them, and you get to learn a little bit about them, and you're thinking about them afterwards. It's a solid movie with some nice features. It looks way better than the DVD. They show clips from the DVD and the features and the featurette and stuff. You're like, man, they really cleaned this one up. I'd recommend this if you like movies like this. Kind of like a nostalgia thing, and it gives me a look into what the Coney Island was like back then and in the 90s, even when it was filmed. So it's pretty cool stuff.
What would you do if you found out your best friend from high school, someone you really cared about, was insane? Like a little strange, or, and homeless, and living on Coney Island. Coney Island? Why Coney Island?
I don't know. That's why we're going. We're gonna find him. What's wrong with loving somebody? Nothing. It's good to love somebody.
I'll tell you who I do want to marry.
You bastard!
Someone who doesn't mind when you piss on her shoes?
Maybe if there were some skee-ball involved in the transaction, I could help you out. It's a little slow.
Hey, it's just a stupid game.
It's not a game. Not if you can't win.
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may.
You went out with Cindy Goldklein?
We haven't even gotten to third base.
Perfectly safe. See? What is that sound?
It's like God blown into a Coke bottle.
No, it isn't. Like God blowing... Please.
If you don't love someone with every single part of you, you are wasting time.
Richie, it's us. It's Daniel and Stan.
It's me, Stan. You remember us?
Well, I want to help him.
He doesn't want any help. You were a regular guy, and now you're acting like a crazy person.
We went to Coney Island on a mission from God. Nothing amazing happened, but everything changed.
He's pierced, I'll give him that, but it's not that freaky. Anybody could just...
The next one here is another MVD rewind. This is number 4. This is Savannah Smiles. I had never heard of this movie. This is a 70s flick, so I was instantly interested in it. And it's a family movie. And I'm going to say this. Maybe I'm getting sentimental in my old age, or maybe it's just that time era of the 70s movies that I pretty much enjoy everything from that time frame. But I really like this one. The lead in this, it's a comic kind of duo. One of the leads wrote the movie too, so he, kind of wrote himself a really nice, juicy part. It follows the story of two ex-cons. One's still on the con. They're both on the run. And there's this, they don't really have a family unit. They've kind of always been, they're kind of solo lost people without, that like, that understanding and that, that love. And, although one's grumpy, one's goofy, they both kind of are likable. And there's this little girl, Savannah, who comes from a rich family. One of the dad's running for a political office, so he's not paying attention to her. She runs away because she feels like she's not getting the attention or the love she wants. And of course, they accidentally bump into her. She runs into their car. Everybody thinks they kidnapped her. There's a $100,000 reward. They want it at first, and as it passes on, they start to grow a fondness for each other, and they develop this kind of family unit. But of course, nobody believes that these horrible ex-cons could actually really have hearts of gold, so they're after him. Michael Parks is in here as one of the cops, and he's kind of the smart one that thinks he knows what's going on, and he's pretty much right. It's great seeing Michael Parks in this. He's always good. The acting's really solid in this. The little girl is absolutely adorable, and Alvy, who plays the kind of meaner of the convicts, when he comes around, it's just like, it'll make your heart melt. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, put me in here at like 16, I'm like, I'm not watching that crap. Now I'm like, that's a good movie. And it's got a really good soundtrack. It's got like the kind of like songs made for the movie. I like how it looks. I liked kind of the silly humor about it too. They're always getting into shenanigans. They're always doing horrible, like literally when you look at a paper, like these guys are going away for a long, long time. They're stealing, they're robbing, but it has like a super light feeling to it, but it also has like a nice little message in it. And, I doubt they would make a movie nowadays about criminals actually being like these type of criminals actually being like the I guess they're heroes. They're not really heroes, but it's such a nice light, but also complex light, and also it's not okay at the end. You know what I mean? Reality does sink in. As silly as it all can be, it is reality. There's interviews with the writer and the lead actors in here, and Savannah, the girl who played Savannah's mother, some of the people who made the music. There's a lot of stuff in here, and it's all really interesting, especially they talk about their careers and how the Savannah Smiles cookies from Girl Scouts were involved with this after that. So that's really interesting. It's kind of an interesting movie that I really hadn't heard much about, although it definitely is a cult movie. I love the lead performance. I actually really like the main character, and I like the flashbacks, and I like his story arc. I like both their arcs. They're both really likable. It's fun. It has some payoffs in there. Like the locations, like how the movie looks, like how it's shot, like the music in it. It's just really good family movie, and not something I would typically watch on my own. So like I'm appreciating kind of the MVD Rewind sporadically picking different movies. You know, they don't always pick stuff that's exactly my cup of tea to release, but these two I really liked. I thought they were really unique and surprising movies that I appreciate liking. I mean, the soundtrack alone is worth picking up, I think. But you know, maybe I'm just getting old and sentimental, but I liked it.
State prison, where hardened criminals do hard time and think of only one thing: escape. And where a few have friends to help them.
Well, don't just stand there. Get in. Are you crazy? You gonna get us killed? Get out of here. Get in there. You're out. You're free. Well, aren't you happy? You gonna thank me?
Thanks a lot. I get paroled on Friday.
Alfie Gibbs and Boots McGaffey, footloose and fancy-free, and enjoying the good life. Dining out under the stars.
What is this mess in here?
Rabbit.
Where'd you get a rabbit?
Off the highway.
Searching for true love.
My wife not to get here soon, it's gonna be too late.
I've never felt such a powerful need for anybody in my whole life.
And earning a living in their chosen profession.
Oh, this pollen's getting to you too, I see.
Shut up! This is a stick-up!
Help! Help! Somebody help! I'm being murdered! Help! Oh, help! Help!
Alvy and Boots on the run and having fun until they meet Savannah.
Alvy, we got us a hot kid in the back seat there.
Hi.
Thanks for not turning me into the cops.
I've already spoken to the governor. I'm bringing in the top expert in the country.
Dobbs. The Driscoll child is in the hands of two desperate criminals, and to compound matters, they are not very bright.
What terrible thing could be happening to her?
Tell me a bedtime story.
I don't know any bedtime stories.
Then I'll tell you one. Sit down.
Take up your positions as we planned.
Why can't you get a getaway car that would get away?
Don't be mad, Alvy.
Savannah Smiles, the most delightful surprise of the year. Don't miss it. Starring Mark Miller, Donovan Scott, Michael Parks, Chris Robinson, and Barbara Stanger, with special guest star Peter Graves, and introducing Bridget Anderson as Savannah.
When Savannah smiles, those gray clouds start to pray and bring on the sun.
The next one is from Arrow Academy. This is Smash Palace. This is by Roger Donaldson. He did Sleeping Dogs, which is a New Zealand movie. This is a New Zealand movie as well. This is his second movie. It stars Bruno Lawrence, who I've seen in movies, but he never stuck in my head. He's in A Bridge to Nowhere, which is a strange movie. I remember seeing it years ago. And he's in a bunch of other stuff, Quiet Earth. I'm not too familiar with it. I guess he was a fairly big actor in New Zealand, and this is a strange movie. we have this this guy. He's kind of a monkey wrench racer. He runs like a junkyard, and his wife, who, you know, she wants, you know, a better life for her and her daughter. They have some turmoil, although they do seem to genuinely love each other. And Bruno Lawrence has an amazing relationship with his daughter. And as the movie goes on and on, you see this rift go between them, and it's always been there, and it starts to progress, and one of his friends starts to be involved, and it gets really complicated. And Bruno Lawrence is one of these guys that's just going to do it his way no matter what, but he doesn't come off as a completely dislikable monster at times. For some reason, although he is bad at times, you're always on his side, and I don't want to call him a villain. I would say that he's a real human character, and I like his performance. It's one of a kind. It's like watching the like special features and stuff, and you're hearing him, and they're this actor, and you're like, I don't know if anybody I know could play that role. Like, I'm trying to put other actors in that position. It's like, no, it's just really that guy. If you want that character type, there's only that guy. Like, what I'm trying to think of when I'm watching this. It's just pretty irreplaceable. But I really like the relationships with the daughter. And it does get scary at times because it's a man on the edge. You don't know what he's going to do. And it sets up these good things that pay off at the end. The end's brilliant. The end is one of those things that you think about, and I think people that have seen very few movies will be like, I got gypped, but people that have seen so many movies that when they see something that's a little bit different is beautiful. And the laugh at the end, I love. There's a couple scenes in here I'm not super fond of. It's because they set up this character in one scene where he's supposed to be, and he comes back later, and it seems like it's kind of shoehorned in just to have something happen to one of the characters. I think that's a little weak. I like how the movie looks. I like the racing and stuff. Well, the kind of the stunt work in there looks really good. It's a solid drama, but it's a dark drama, and there's a sex scene in there which took me off guard. I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty intense. Pretty rough stuff in there. But Bruno Lawrence definitely has guts. He's an actor. This movie has guts, and there's some really memorable moments in the movie, and it leaves you wondering what happens to these characters after it's all over. It's really cool. It looks really good. There's a commentary on here which I like. There's a making of which incorporates a lot of the movie in there. So it's like 53 minutes long, but like 25 minutes of it is clips from the movie. That, especially if you just watch it after it, you're like, man, I just watched all these clips, and they go on a long time. But they talk about it, and Bruno Lawrence passed, and he was pretty young, I think 54. So, you know, he's kind of in that same boat with like an actor like Warren Oates, who died at 52 or something, around 53, around that age, 52. So it's kind of sad to see like those actors that are good and really amazing, but they never. And it's funny that Roger Donaldson's first movie was Sleeping Dogs and had Warren Oates, who died at 52, and then this one, Smash Palace, has Bruno Lawrence, who died at 54. And it's not a good track record for good actors that didn't get their recognition. But yeah, it's a pretty cool movie, and they were talking about in the making of, like, well, they wanted to remake this, and I'm like, how would you remake that in America? It just would come off as like trashy. I don't know why, but it would come off as trashy. I don't understand. I don't think that there's equivalent to like the New Zealand lifestyle that's equivalent to the American lifestyle. Does that make any sense at that time period? Not that I've ever lived everywhere around America, and I've never been to New Zealand, but it just doesn't feel like it could be captured properly, if that makes any sense. But it's a really cool movie. It's really unique. If you like kind of like character studies and kind of dark dramas that have a really dark comedic edge to it at times, and I would check it out. It's pretty cool stuff.
Aardvark Films presents Roger Donaldson's new film, Smash Palace.
Georgie, I only got one left to go. She's gonna beat the rest of the field. She's way out in front now. So go, break.
Have you ever in your leaf life love seen the devil dive or devil with your weak wife?
What made their relationship so good in the beginning is what made it so bad at the end.
I'm leaving you, Al.
Starring Bruno Lawrence and Anna Jemison, Keith Aberdeen, and introducing Greer Robson. Music by Sharon O'Neill.
Always lived inside of a smash palace with broken dreams that never met, and cold
was one to Foley.
Ray had nothing
She's
to do
my
with it.
kid, and I'll do what I want with her.
Georgie's missing.
Stop it! Stop it! Jackie!
Jackie! Jackie! Don't be a fool! Jackie!
Roger Donaldson's Smash Palace, a remarkable drama that takes you to the brink of tragedy. Smash Palace.
Hey guys, we're here to review a couple for you. The first one I'm going to review, I wanted to review this again because back in 2003 I was an angsty teenager and I hated all remakes. Down with remakes. 15, 16 years old. They suck, right? And I was listening to 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast, and they covered the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise quite a bit ago. And, you know, I love the first two. I'm okay on the third one. Don't really like Next Generation. And I remember having huge, real mixed feelings about the remake. I didn't really like it. I didn't even finish it. I turned it off at like 10 minutes left. I was like, that sucked. And it's like, I think 70% of it was because it was a remake. But this is the remake, 2003, of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre by Marcus Nispel, who actually did the Friday the 13th remake, which I didn't like either when it came out. So maybe I'll revisit that one. But yeah. No. Where can you start with the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Probably, maybe not my personal favorite, but probably the greatest horror movie ever made. American horror movie ever made. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The original?
Yeah.
I saw that movie twice in theaters, and I had never seen the original before, but I think we were out of town, and my cousin saw it once when we came back to town. And then, like, my friends went to go see it. I think it was, like, at the drive-in. It was playing, because they did 2 movies back then, and they did... after the first movie we wanted to see, they played that one, and so I just watched it again.
What was it billed with?
I think, well, if it's 2003, possibly I was seeing Finding Nemo for, like, the 14th time.
That's the worst billing ever. That's it.
They always did a kid's movie first, and then, like, a more adult, serious movie.
That makes sense,
movie.
the B picture. Well, it wouldn't be a B picture, but it'd be an adult picture. So, yeah, Texas Chainsaw. The funny thing is, it's a foreign director, which it's always strange. It's like, hey... It's like almost like they're the only ones that want to touch American royalty as a foreign director. Like they did it with the Day of the Dead second remake too, and the Evil Dead remake. It's like, but it is maybe nice to see them come at it a different light. I'm going to first and foremost say it's much better than I thought it was back then. I actually enjoyed it. Same cinematographer. Daniel Pearl, I believe, is the cinematographer. Same guy from the first one, and they recreate a couple of the shots. And most one that comes to mind is when the wide shot of the van pulling away when the hitchhiker comes up. And the hitchhiker scene here is different, and they were right about that. They changed it up. Instead of having the crazy hitchhiker, you can't replicate that. You cannot get another actor to do Edwin O'Neill's performance. That's irreplaceable. And what the director said in the features, I agree with. And what they did with that scene is probably the best shot scene in the movie. It's probably the best scene in the movie. Besides, the best thing in the movie, besides Lee Ermey.
Oh, he's amazing.
He's amazing in it. And I thought the dialogue was really weak and poor for the most part. I didn't think the acting was for the most part, but I thought a lot of the dialogue was weak and poor. And then Lee Ermey comes in, and I'm like, he is killing it. He's great. And then it was come to find out he improv'd all that stuff, and the guy's like, no wonder it's good, because he improv'd all of it, because he's just such a good actor. R.I.P. by the way. But yeah, the movie is pretty much 100% horror. The only comedy that comes in here is the dialogue from some of the characters. It's not as you know, the first one's not funny, but it does have moments that are.
It's yeah, I don't know how to explain the first one. Like, it comes across as comedic to me, and I don't know if it was the intent or...
It was Tobe Hooper's intent, but only sick people laugh at it the first time they watch it. I think it takes a long time to develop the humor in it.
Yeah, it's more like an audacity, I think, in the first one. While this one, I mean, they're just trying... I mean, they're grossing you out for most of it. Some of the stuff is pretty graphic.
The special effects are really solid for the most part. You know, and they're really nasty. There's 2 characters in the movie that... I had a problem with, and it's funny, everybody loves Jessica Biel. They praise Jessica Biel in this movie, and she looks amazing in it, no lie, but I don't buy her performance. I think that her screams and stuff, it just doesn't rub me the right way. It seems forced, seems kind of fake. I love that they incorporate the actual butcher shop into the movie, which is cool. They actually have a chase scene through that. Leatherface is much a more violent beast in this one. He's scary. He's not... He's not a different kind of scary. He's like, this is a dinosaur chasing you or a big monster chasing you instead of the kind of pathos that the original one had. That's the term they used for Gunnar Hansen. And Gunnar Hansen was a tortured soul, somebody who was kind of just distraught and felt like he was being attacked while he was attacking, while this guy is going to go out and kill.
I think my biggest issue with this isn't so much like the events that happen. They're very like predicated in the movie. Like the first one, like they're in a location for a reason. Like they're visiting his uncle's house or his old uncle's house or something, and things escalate from there. This one, like, every character makes like the complete wrong decision. It's like nobody makes a natural decision in this movie, and it kind of just leads them into this terrible situation. Like
they're not likable people, for the most part. But some of them I don't hate.
Yeah, I don't hate every character, but like the big thing that gets me is when Jessica Biel's character asks to use the phone and her boyfriend's outside. Like this whole thing, like this whole chain of events, realistically probably only takes like 5 minutes. And her boyfriend is so impatient, he feels the need to go inside the house and, like, snoop around. It's like, it's been 5 minutes. It's not like it was 45.
I don't like the boyfriend character.
No.
Not that he's a bad actor. He's a fine actor. It's just a bad character.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of deleted scenes that really would have helped his character, to be honest. And since they're deleted, it doesn't help him if you watch him. But I gotta rate it on how he was in the movie without the deleted scenes. He's a poor character to me. And, I think that the other characters, especially the guy that you think is going to be the big prick the whole movie, he actually is the strongest character in the movie. He has the scariest moments. He has the best moments with Lee Ermey, and his performance is actually the best. When he throws up, when he's shaking, his lips quivering, and the dialogue between him and Ermey is great. When he says about the tickets, well, what are you going to do with them tickets now? I guess you could have them. And he just hits him and knocks his teeth out. Well, now we got something else in common. It's just like stuff like that. That guy's really good. The family's not as strong as a whole. I mean... You got Lee Ermey, who's great. Leatherface, played by Andrew Bernowski. I can't say his name, but he pops up in Street Fighter. He's Zangief, and he's in one of my all-time favorites, Hudson Hawk. He's Butterfingers. He's also in Higher Learning. He's in a bunch of stuff. Oh, he's in Batman Returns. He's in a lot of stuff. He's a pretty cool actor. Kind of fun to spot that guy out. Big motherfucker. But, yeah, I don't think the family's as strong. You got the guy in the wheelchair. I like the mom. The mom's great. She reminds me of evil Ben Johnson.
I was wondering about the mom because she's been in a few of the remakes that I've seen, or the other movies. She was in
the other one too, yeah.
Was she ever in the original?
That character?
Yeah, was the mother character ever in the original series?
Well, the original series is messed up. There might have been a mother character in part 3, but like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen part 3. But mother is pretty much non-existent. I think maybe they show a skeleton in part 1 and 2. You see like a skeleton. It's hard to remember. And the funny thing is, she might be grandma. It's so strange because in 1 there's a grandpa, but there's no mom and dad. There's grandpa and then the 3 brothers. So it's so hard to give this a fair rating, but you have to rate it as a remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And for that, it's okay. It's pretty good, but it's not great. And it's better than I gave it credit for, but it's still not like an amazing movie or anything like that. Lee Ermey's fun in it. It's nasty. It's gross. I think it's worth watching. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to take place in the 70s. I think that was kind of a mistake because it doesn't feel like it's in the 70s to me. I think that's probably the weakest thing. Like, when I watch it, I'm like, this doesn't feel like 70s. The characters don't look like they're from the 70s. They're not acting like they're from the 70s to me. It's just, I think that maybe that comes to that person, that foreign director. I'm sure he's done so much stuff, and maybe the production designer is not as strong as he was in the original. That guy was amazing in the original one. So it just comes down to it doesn't really look like a 70s movie, and all the people look like they kind of fell out of an Abercrombie and Fitch model catalog. If that makes, I don't want to say not the bad guys, but as in the kids do, and that I like the sense that in the original they look like normal people. Even Marilyn Burns, they're all good-looking kids in the original, except maybe Franklin.
He's all right.
He's a normal-looking guy, though, but they're normal-looking people, and I like that more. And Tobe Hooper tends to put either strange-looking or normal-looking. He never goes out and he puts like these pinup models in his movies, typically, and that's kind of what makes it more grounded. And this one doesn't feel as grounded.
Right.
Doesn't have that. And I don't want to be like, well, you're saying that the movie should be the same, and it shouldn't. And I shouldn't be saying that, and I shouldn't rate a movie on my previous expectations of the first one. But I have to hold it to certain high regard when it comes to a remake of Texas Chainsaw. It's all right.
Yeah, and I think if you hold it up to Texas Chainsaw, the original, it's okay. But if you take it and you hold it against the movies that the original inspired, it's a pretty good movie.
Or if you take it to the movies that were made in that year,
yeah,
as horror movies are concerned, it's one of the better horror movies that came out that year for sure.
Absolutely.
I can't think of any off the top of my head, that were better. You know, I mean, around that time, stuff like Devil's Rejects came out, which I love, and like The Descent was around that time too, right? Within a few years, The Descent's really good. So there's some really big gems in there. And this one might be a gem for its time period, but when you take the best of the early 2000s to the best of the 70s, although I'm not saying that there's a million movies better in the 70s, but the best of, like when you take the cream of the crop, the best of the 2000s doesn't even compare to the best of the 70s. So, I mean, that's kind of unfair. But it's worth checking out for sure. And there's some nice features on here, too. The making of is really interesting, really cool on here. And there's a thing about Ed Gein on here, which I enjoyed seeing. There's deleted scenes. There's commentary. This is a nice release, and it's not very expensive either. So I would pick that one up.
The Ed Gein documentary on here is really good, too. I'd give it a watch. Even just for that. I thought that was spectacular.
Tell me how much you love me. How much? That much. That much? This much. That much.
Hey, are you okay?
They're all dead. He's a bad man.
We're gonna have to call the cops, I guess. Excuse me.
What the hell was that?
What?
I just saw something.
All right, that's it. If somebody's out there, just come on out!
What is that? The hitchhiker. What were they all doing here?
What the hell are you doing in my house?
You're all gonna die.
Okay, so this one I had similar feelings to. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning. And I watched this one because I had to. After watching that one, I was like, oh, I got to watch the beginning now. And this is actually the Canadian Blu-ray, and this is the unrated version. The American Blu-ray is rated, so don't get it. Get the Canadian one. It's not much more expensive. You can get it on Amazon as well. Just make sure you get the unrated one. Because when you're watching a prequel to this, you know, like the Texas Chainsaw... You know what's funny? The original Texas Chainsaw is not even that gory, but these ones are. Mm-hmm. So you want the gore. This is a prequel to the 2003 remake that we just talked about. Lee Ermey comes back, and the family comes back, which I kind of liked.
Yeah, I think every character.
And I remember people were so mad. It's like, I don't want to see where Leatherface came from, yada, yada, yada. But this is different to me. Like, if you're going to... You might as well. It's not the same movie. You're not doing it in the same world as the originals. Kind of like the Halloween remake. People are like, I don't want to see. What made Michael Myers scary is that you didn't know what he was from. In those movies, why make the same movie? Why do the same thing? So I didn't mind seeing the whole butcher shop and this whole town fall to shambles in here. It takes place a few years beforehand. Mm-hmm. And basically this town went into shambles, and Lee Ermey, they show how he became the sheriff. They show all this stuff. They show why they're cannibals. Nice backstory. Actually did it pretty well with it. And the good thing about this is about a group of people traveling through. Of course, they get stopped by these guys. The characters are much more likable. They're much more realistic in this one, and they seem to have they seem real. They're not bad people. They're not smuggling drugs like in the other one. Which immediately you're like, what pieces of shit?
Right.
But I actually enjoyed the characters in here. There's two brothers, which helps. Also super gory and super mean-spirited. I don't think Lee Ermey's performance is as strong in this one. I thought he did better in the...
He did do better in the...
But he's still good in this one. He's having fun, and I like that. You see, but the one problem with this movie, similar to the Titanic or any movie where you know the outcome, it's a prequel. So all the characters that are in the prequel, in the next one, they're going to be fine. So the stakes are pretty much sucked away, and you know what's going to happen to all the characters in the movie before you put it in.
Right.
Now, saying that, it's got some good gore effects. The characters are better. It might even be a better filmmaking, to be honest. The script's better.
The script is definitely better. It does a few more shout-outs to the original than the first remake does to the original.
Which parts?
Well, like there's the dinner scene in this one.
Yeah, they had to get that in there.
There's the jumping out of the window scene.
Yes.
I mean...
She didn't do it twice, though.
Yeah, she didn't do it twice, but some of the scenes that I remember the most from the original, they actually use in the beginning. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. I think I like the girl in this one better, too.
I definitely like the girl better in this one.
I actually felt bad for the kids in this one. And I love the opening when they fire Leatherface from the... Go tell him he's fired. Me? I would have got on the PA, because the butcher shop closes, and that's what turns this town into a third world fucking town here. Pretty much like a dust town. What do they call it? A deserted town.
Yeah.
And they have to fire Leatherface. He won't leave. He's cutting up meat, and they send this guy down there. I would have done it over the PA. I'm like, hey, fired. But there's a great scene. That guy's a monster, too. So it's that thing with Henry, again, where you're rooting him on, like the guy who's showing them the TV, who keeps insulting Henry and Otis. You're like, get him. And I remember John Notting just said that in the commentary. It's like you start to root for Henry. You root for him. And on that side, you start to become rooting for Leatherface to kill some of the people like that guy, for sure.
Right.
You wanted him to kill him.
And you want the kids to live in this one.
Yeah.
There's one of the girls has a chance to make it, and she hears her friend, and she hesitates at the open door, and she goes back in, and the movie goes on.
You know what's also funny about it? Beecher's in here from Oz. If anybody, Lee Turgensen from Oz, and he plays a biker, but he plays a biker that doesn't want to do this anymore. He's so over it. He's like... And when I first saw that, I was like, what is Beecher doing in this? I thought he was miscast, but watching it again, I'm like, no, it's kind of nice to see all the other bikers are assholes, but Beecher's just like, he's not a good person. He doesn't care, but he doesn't go out of his way to be a monster like it seems like a lot of the characters do. And they do some elaborate deaths in here. They got to have some of the craziest deaths in this movie. I think the deaths are better in this one, too.
Deaths are better in this one.
I hated the first death in the first movie. I'm going to bring it back when this guy lost his leg. He's hanging up, dying all the way, and they give him a mercy kill. It's like, and they stab him in the stomach, and he dies. It's like, what is this? In the words of Bloodletting, Butch Harlow, what is this? A fucking Friday the 13th movie? You're going to stab him in the stomach until he dies? It doesn't work like that. After you maybe this guy's so messed up after he stabs in the gut. That's the final thing. But it just doesn't seem right. When you've been hanging on a hook and you have your leg cut off, there's a little poke in the stomach's going to finish you off. But in this one, I think the kills are much better.
They're more believable, I think.
They're more over the top and gory, though, too.
They are, but as far as actually this would actually kill you. Yeah.
Well, those people would have already been dead in the other one, let alone then the knife. It's like, that guy had been dead hours ago.
Oh, the mother has better scenes in this one, too.
Oh, yeah, she does. She's got better scenes in this one, too. I actually really like the mother in this movie. And we didn't talk about the other two people in the remake, but the heavy lady comes back, and the scene with her and the mother is comedy gold. This one has some more elements of comedy, only because the characters are so weird, not because it's like, hey, it's a slapstick, but they're talking about cake and stuff, like any fucking movie that would say stereotypical old women would talk about, they'd be like, well, that's what just basically old women would talk about, right? So they're like, oh, that cake is delicious.
She gets that English breakfast tea, but she has it for dinner.
That's just a beautifully funny scene. And all in all, I think this one's better, a little bit better. I wish I could mix them both and make the perfect remake, because I think you could.
You probably could, yeah.
I think that the writing in the first one's a little weaker. But I think that, I think that writing and the directing, I might like how the I don't know. They both, there's stuff I like out of both of them. This one's a little bit better. I think they're both worth checking out, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just watch them. Yeah. Yeah.
Shh, don't cry. Don't cry. Shh. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. What are you doing? I never had me a little girl before.
You're all gonna die.
See what you did, boy.
You started a whole whirlwind.
As long as we stick together, ain't nothing that we can't handle. It's all about the family. You kids okay?
Where are you taking us? Where are you taking us, sir?
Amazing grace.
Thomas!
How sweet.
What is that?
Come on, boy.
People may not know what we say here tonight. By God, they'll remember what we did.
Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. It's by the actor Macon Blair directed this. Macon Blair pops up in Murder Party, one of my favorites, Blue Ruin, and Green Room by Jeremy Sautier, or however you say his name. But Macon Blair is usually an actor. He directs this one, and this stars, I don't know the lead actress's name. She looks familiar. I think I've seen her a couple times, but it also has Elijah Wood in here. Mm-hmm. This is definitely an offbeat vigilante movie. Think kind of like... What's the one? Super?
Super, and is it God Bless America?
God Bless America.
Mm-hmm.
Better than God Bless America. Not as good as Super. But it has a very strange, like, awkward comedy feel that comes through the awkward characters and the dialogue and the timing and stuff like that. It's a comedy. It's a dark comedy. And it gets super gory and horrific. It's similar to, like, how Blue Ruin's violence is, which is very funny to me. Because Blue Ruin has... moments of comedy. It does have dark comedy, but it's more serious tone and more revenge driven and more dark and just gritty than this. But the violence plays out the same. When it happens, it's so matter of fact. Like, and it's like a catalyst. This does this to this. Like, there's repercussions for all the stupid shit these people do. But essentially what happens is we have this kind of strange, lonely woman who's a nurse, and somebody breaks into her house and steals some silverware and her laptop. This sends her on some sort of vigilante, like, crime spree to try to find out who stole her laptop. She ends up unveiling, like, some low-rent criminal activity, and one of her neighbors, who's played by Elijah Wood, who's really weird with a rat tail, obsessed with Japanese culture, super awkward, team up, and they make this weird, awful, awkward, strange vigilante team. Yeah, that's the plot of the movie. And for some reason, this movie goes by like lightning.
Yeah, it goes by pretty
so
quick.
Fast. And they're really good at getting to the next scene without letting you know that the next scene happens. There's good characters in here. And the bad guys, I really enjoyed 2 or 3 of them. One's so trashy that I can't stand him. But they're just low-level scumbags. And one's played by David Yao, who popped up in Upside Down Cross and... Southbound, and I noticed him right away. I had to look him up, and I was like, oh, that guy. I mean, he's really great in this movie, really dirty. But I really enjoyed the ending of the movie. It gets crazy, and the gore is really, really top-notch and nasty. Anything you want to talk about it?
It kind of has like some of those like Bronson movie feels to it, like not to the extreme of some of the what are those Bronson movies?
He
called?
had tape on his shoe.
Yeah.
I know he did it.
I had a gut feeling.
Wait, there it is. I don't need proof. I had a good feeling. I know he's bad. He was masturbating. That's 10 to Midnight. I love that movie.
Yes.
But no, it's definitely vigilantism. It's not as dark as Death Wish.
It's not that as dark as those, but like...
And it's self-aware of its absurdity.
Right, like her house is even technically broken into because she left the door unlocked.
The cop's great.
You know, yeah, well, that cop was great. So she's trying to like, and I work at a 911, so I get this a lot, but like these people try to solve their own cases, and like there's like policy and procedure that they have to follow because like you can't just go to a person's house and say. Like, stick them up, you know? You need substantial evidence. Exactly, Bronson.
Sometimes the law doesn't work.
That's exactly it, you know, but it's a protection.
That's why I love him so much, because I always feel like doing that kind of stuff, but I'm like, I can't do that, because my common sense kicks in. I'm like, oh, that's bad. I'm going to do something. I ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, so she takes it into her own hands, because there's so little the police can do, and it's... She gets her stuff back, and
but it leads her to a bunch of places. It's really offbeat, and I don't want to say too much about it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, it leads to one of the people's like family members. Derek Mears pops up in here, which was really nice to see for a small role. Elijah Wood's great in it. You know what? I love Elijah Wood. And when I would back when I was young, I'd see Elijah Wood pop up and stuff. I'm like, oh, he's just gonna be a child actor, yada yada yada. And usually a lot of child actors burn out. They don't like hold their like flame in acting. And if anything, for me, Elijah Wood's become more of an actor I look out for. If he's in it, I'm pretty much gonna check it out because he always picks really fun and cool projects. And he's not one to be like stick his nose up to something small or something different. He does those kind of movies, and he runs one of those companies. He like a production company that like produces a lot of weird offbeat movies, and I love that. And you can tell he's loves cinema, and he likes playing weird characters, and his character is just a very unique character. He always carries around like the Japanese stuff, and the ninja star comes into play. Or is that a morning star? That's a
ninja star. He does have a morning star at one point.
Yeah, but that's just a lot of beautiful stuff like that coming into play. And also comments about a gun they buy, like, what is this piece of crap? Is it get what you pay for? And it all comes into play. You know, they set these things up, and they don't, it's not super forced. Although it seems like it's going to happen, you know it's going to happen, and they play it off really well.
They do. Was Elijah Wood in anything before Lord of the Rings?
Oh yeah. Wasn't he in that movie North with where he's a kid who's walking north? He's in The Good Son. It's all Elijah Wood.
He's in The Good Son?
Yeah, he's the other kid with Macaulay Culkin. Oh. So I mean, Elijah Wood's had a very long career, you know. So and I really enjoyed this one. You know, it's almost like we're not talking about this movie now. We're just talking about other movies.
Yeah, I know.
But
well, this is a new movie, so I don't want to
spoil too much from it. But the acting's good. It has a really like funny stuff. It feels like God Bless America, but it doesn't. You know how God Bless America came at you very preachy and like shoved its message down your throat? This movie doesn't even feel like it has a message. This movie is like God Bless America without the message and all the fun.
Yeah,
and I really enjoyed it. I think it's worth checking out for sure.
And the lead actress is phenomenal.
She's great as well.
Great.
I've seen her before. It's just not. She looks very familiar, but would recommend checking that one out for sure.
You're summer chancer, a freaky, freaky dancer.
My house got robbed.
What did they take?
My grandma's silver.
Did you call the authorities?
Yeah.
The world is bigger than your silverware. Grow up.
Everyone is an asshole. Taking my mind. Fuck you. Stop. Sometimes I feel like I'm underneath a whirlpool. Like I can't even breathe. The way people treat each other
Makes me so furious. Kevin, stop it! Is there anything I can do?
Open sesame. Gotcha.
Police!
Your son broke into my house. I have no idea where he is.
Vigilante action's a good way to get your wig knocked off.
You have beautiful eyes, okay?
What do you want?
For people to not be assholes. I'm not letting you shoot anyone. Anyone else.
Okay, we're going to hop into the VHS Voyage. The first one I reviewed for this was The Terror in the Swamp. The next one I'll be reviewing is the 1989 Nightlife with Scott Grimes. This is a bootleg I had for years, but I had this even longer. This is a VHS from 89. This is an RCA. I've never opened it. I bought it when I was 12 years old. I seen this movie when I was really young, like 10, and I bought it right when half.com started to come around, like 13. I got it for $10 shipped, and I just had to have it. And I never wanted to open it because it was sealed. But yeah, so I watched my bootleg, A Nightlife. This is 1989. This is a zombie movie. This is a strange movie. It's like a Return of the Living Dead sequel would meet like The Chilling. And it's about, if you mix the Chilling's pretty bad. I love the first three Return of the Living Deads. Chilling's not horrible, but it's really cheesy and silly. Not that that's always a bad thing, but it's bad in the Chilling's way. Nightlife follows Scott Grimes. He has to work at his uncle's, Sean Astin from, the Addams Family original series and Return of the Killer Tomatoes fame. He has to work at his mortuary to earn his way to go to college. He is kind of an outcast. He's picked on. Him and the local, mechanic, the Grease Monkey girl, Tomboy, are best friends. And there's some bullies, some rich kids that nobody likes in the school. One actually is the virgin, supposed virgin from Monster Squad, which was great, which surprised me to see her pop up in this. And it's kind of a off-kilter zombie comedy, but tonally it's a little bit different. The movie opens up with an autopsy, and it feels like it's almost done in an artistic way. And that artistic flair, like that almost surrealism, comes back in a scene where he has to put on a gas mask from these chemicals and pick up some dead bodies. And I don't want to say who it is during this wreck, but that scene is played out very surreal, very weird. And there's just some goofy kind of humor in it at the same time. But then there's horrifically nasty gore and over-the-top splatter in here as well. It does take a little too long to get to the action, and the quality doesn't look great. I'm so used to watching HD that when I watch a VHS or something VHS quality or Laserdisc quality or something like that, I'm like, man, this is so subpar looking to me that it's hard to give it the fair assessment as I would like a Blu-ray or something. But I think if I saw this in better quality, I would have liked it much better. And it's a revisit that I probably should have kept like a loving memory, but I did enjoy it, and I think this would make a perfect movie to be released on Blu-ray or DVD. But it's got, like I said, a weird tonal thing going on here. I like the relationship with Scott Grimes and the mechanic, but there's scenes at times when Scott Grimes runs to her and something bad happened to her, but he literally just had faced zombies. And he's like, oh, I gotta tell you. And then he's like, what's wrong? It's like, that's just silly writing. The gore gags are hilarious. They're awesome. People getting blown up with like hydraulic fluid and exploding. It takes place in a creepy morgue at times. I like the creatures. I like the zombies. They don't stop coming. They're almost indestructible. They all have great ways that they're finished. They set them up as big douchey jerk-offs in the beginning of the movie so that you're happy when the things happen to them. Essentially, like I said, these bullies end up dying and spoiling it, kind of, but I think it pretty much says it right on the back of the cover, and I'm sure the trailer does it too. And through some weird kind of electrical storm and chemicals, they come back to life, and he has to deal with it. So that's what you have going on here. Like I said, it has these moments of comedy and like gore and like surrealism in only a couple scenes. So tonally, sometimes it's really hard to blend that. Like Return of the Living Dead's perfect at blending it. Return of the Living Dead 2 I love. Not so good at blending it, but it's one of my favorites. And this one I would put on the caliber of like a Chud 2 or Return of the Living Dead Part 2. That kind of tone added a couple scenes that are a little different. It does have some genuinely scary moments, and the acting's fairly solid, especially by the lead, Scott Grimes, and it has some character actors pop up. John Astin, sorry. So it has some stuff going for it. I think it's unique. I think that I'd really like to see it get a nice release. I think it deserves it. I've seen so many bad movies compared to it. And it's one that I had fond memories of renting as a kid and watching late at night. And it was raining outside on a summer night with me and my buddy watching it. We were like 10, and it kind of scared us. But then when the zombies, when he's hiding under the bed, the zombies proceed to have Bone on the bed, and the bed starts shaking. We were like, we thought it was funny, so that kind of like lightened the scare a little bit. But yeah, that's Nightlife, 1989. It feels big too. At times this movie feels pretty big, and there's some things going on with trains and stuff which are kind of like, wow, man, this movie seemed to have a budget. And I bet there's a bunch of gore scenes on the cutting room floor that got cut out, because it seems like the special effects guys here love to do crazy gags. But you know, I would check it out if you can.
He knows it's out there. He knows it's waiting. You can't see it in the daytime. You can't escape it at night. It's not really alive, but it's not quite dead.
What's going on over there?
The whole unit's acting weird.
45 degrees in there. The bodies are on a roller coaster.
What's going on? Come on, let's get out of here.
What in the hell is going on here?
The bedroom! Don't go in the bedroom! We have to stop them. Now, we can do it. I'm gonna need your help.
There's good reason to be afraid of the dark.
The last one here is Pick of the Week. This is by, who picked this? Alexander Christensen. And like I said before, the guy who won before Praying, he's sending me his movies, so his is pushed back until it shows up, and I'll keep doing other pick of movies until his shows up, and then that one will be pushed back. So he picked Palindromes by... what's this guy's name? Todd Solondz, who did Happiness, which I have seen, and Welcome to the Dollhouse, which I have not seen. Palindromes. Oh boy, man. I knew I was in for something crazy, because Happiness was one of those craziest movies. I remember when I saw Happiness, I was like 19, and we were watching it with a group of friends, which is a poor choice to a bunch of people. I knew one of them really well, but I didn't know the rest. And one of the girls just started laughing hysterically during it. And I was like, how are you laughing at this? Being too thick to realize it's a comedy. And like, it also is that type of comedy, this director, especially in this, that it makes you feel so uncomfortable that you have nothing to do but laugh. And that's what this guy bases his whole movies on, is just that awkward, so horrible, so miserable, but so real and also absurd that it's funny. And I don't know how to put it any other way. Palindromes follows the story of the most miserable girl ever.
Yeah.
It's played by several different actresses as each chapter opens up, and they don't look anything alike, and they don't even really act alike. It's almost like you're a different person from every moment of your life in here. And it's just a movie that involves pedophilia, crazy Christians, abortion clinics, all sorts of really hot topic issues. You could tell the time it came out too, because they're definitely making fun of like the whole. They were definitely making fun of conservative Christians in this movie, especially when they say, she ends up at the Christian home and they say, can you pass me the freedom toast? And if everyone remembers that, George W. Bush at the time said, we're not saying French fries or French toast anymore, we're saying freedom toast and freedom fries. And I don't know, this is completely off kilter, but a guy at school always used to do that in high school to make me laugh. He'd be like, give me some freedom fries. And he loved Bush at the time, but I just thought it was funny regardless, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But such a petty thing. This movie is so crazy. And there's moments in here that literally made me cry almost and laugh. Like, I would be like, oh, it's so horrible. It's so sad. But then I would start laughing hysterically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it gets like really dark, and then like before that scene's even finished, it gets really light again. It's
so weird,
all over the place, and it's good.
But you know what is funny too? Like you could look at the when she ends up stumbling on she runs away from home because she gets pregnant because she wants a baby, and you see like her whole life through these moments. They show these moments in her life that why she's like the way she is, and all these characters and things like that coming in, and all the other actors stay the same. Ellen Barkin's the mom, Richard Masur is the dad from The Thing, and a bunch of other stuff, so they stay the same. And it's so weird, and she completely, and it's funny that at the end she's like, you changed to the one guy, you look different, and she's completely different every scene to scene. But it's like, does a lot of things that you would never get, I'm surprised it got away with, because there's like sexual activity with young kid in this, and there's a pedophile character in here, and I'm going to spoil a little bit, but he picks her up, and they have a one-night stand, and he's like, all right, I'm going to leave. I'll be over at the coffee shop. And he leaves the hotel room. My favorite scene in the whole movie. And she's like, it's playing this happy music. And it's like kind of falling, the camera's following her. And she's like, yeah, she's like in love. She's young. She's probably like 15 years old, 16 years old. She's like excited to go in the coffee shop and meet him. And she doesn't, like, you're up close with her. And she turns to the corner to open the door. And it like shows the door and it says closed. And then it goes to a extreme wide shot. And she's like in this desolate parking lot, like truck stop garbage. Nothing's open. The coffee shop's been closed for years. And that guy just obviously left her after all that. And I started laughing out loud so bad because the way they framed that, the way they shot that, the way it transitioned into the next frame or scene or whatever or shot, I just thought it was the funniest thing ever, the way the music cut abruptly and the way it was so mean but also so funny and so sad all in once. And the other hotel room with that cat. When all the characters have a mental breakdown. But the stuff that Ellen Barkin says to her, Ellen Barkin must, like, the way she's portrayed in this movie, like she forces her to get the abortion because she's so young, and it comes back, and it's just awful. Oh, it's just like, what would you, like, some people would call this like I've seen people refer to movies as the Job story. Like, take away everything from this person and still see if they have faith in God. Like, although you take away so much from this poor girl, you make her life so miserable in here. But so awkward, so strange. And there's this guy's, nobody's like this director. Nobody. I would say that the awkwardness is in a lot of movies, but the darkness, I don't even want to call it satirical. And he doesn't, he shoots his movies very, very, I don't want to say plain. Like the lighting to me, everything looks very, not flat, but just very clean and very normal.
Well, I don't think I've seen any of his other movies.
No?
I think I've heard of Happiness, but I don't think I've ever seen it, or if I did, it was
quite good.
Passing movie.
But Richard Riley, or Richard Reichel, or however you say his name, pops up in here from Mysterious Skin, Grounded for Life,
oh, yeah.
Hatchet. He has a small role, but it's a great role. And you know what? And it's funny, like when she lives with these Christians, there's this Mama Sunshine, they call her. She takes in all these people with, you know, diseases or what they would refer to as, you know, mental defects, you know. And it's such a strange scene. It's so sick, but you can't help but laugh when they're going through all the problems. They're like, I can't see and stuff like that. I can't hear. And it's so adorable to see all these, like, kids dancing and singing, but also so absurd. And, of course, there's a dark underbelly to the Christian religion in this movie, but they do portray Mama Sunshine as sweet.
Yeah, you know, she adopts these kids, these special needs children, essentially. The little one, the one she meets first, I think he's great.
He's hilarious.
Like, I kept on smiling every time he was on the camera, just because he was, like, I think he was being fed his lines or what, I don't know, but
it comes across really well.
It does,
The child acting's really good in this movie. All the acting's tremendous in this movie. And like it said, like the main lead actress changes all of the time who she is played by. And she's played by an African-American girl, a large girl at times, and her performance is just so good and so heartfelt. Like, you just see her talk and her body language, she's holding her hands and stuff. It's just so amazing. Like, you can't help but feel bad for this poor girl. And in fact, and all the girls feel like they are, like, for different, like, emotional impact. They feel completely different.
They do. But when she's, like how she is on the cover.
Yeah.
when that actress is playing her, I mean, it's my favorite.
It's
scenes,
the best parts of the movie,
and I think she's the
best actress.
Yeah, she's the best.
Well,
Yeah.
the one at the end's pretty good too.
Oh yeah,
the girl long brown hair. She's really good too. And there's a couple. They're all good. It's just that they range so differently. It's kind of like you get your preference which one. But I think that the what was her name? It was some strange. She's like lying about her name. Aviva. Yeah. Aviva's character is just a unique one, and it's like I feel like it's a different actress for a different thing, or maybe putting anybody could be this situation. This could happen to anybody. I don't necessarily know exactly.
Again, maybe as you go through life, you see yourself differently.
Yeah.
And then if you look at if you look at the word palindrome, it's where you start and where you end. You're in the same.
And that's what that speech is at the end from this character who. It's like a strange, like Steve Buscemi type character. But his speech is just so depressing, but so honest at times. He's like, if you start depressed, you're going to be depressed. You make it better for a while, but at the end, you're going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
And all that, and that pretty much is what happens here, too.
Yeah.
You could sum that movie up in that 30-second speech, or a minute speech, but it's a brilliant speech. But great movie, I thought so.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's amazing. I think it's wonderful. And one of a kind. But that's all I have to say about that one.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's a Corvette C5. It gets really good miles per gallon.
Your dad buy it for you?
Yeah, but I'm gonna pay him back. Come on, I'll take you home.
I'm not going home.
All right. You'd rather be raped by a serial killer? Go on, get in.
We need a story. Interesting things.
Maybe you could be one of my teachers.
What subject?
PE. You're so cute.
Yeah.
Too bad you had to grow up.
Time to make right
What? You want tissue? Is that what you mean?
Does that mean you're never going to get married and have children?
I have no innate desire to get married or have kids. That's beyond my control. Since the planet's fast running out of natural resources and we won't survive to the next century.
What if you're wrong? What if there is a God?
If that makes you feel better.
Okay, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Pick a movie. I'm going to pick for the new one. The person who won last week, they didn't do the review because they're sending it in the mail, so I skipped Alex Christensen ahead. That's why Palindromes was reviewed. So if you're drawn and that movie comes, you'll be pushed back again, and we'll be back in setting. But I'm going to keep doing this person's until that one comes. I know it sounds confusing, but trust me, it'll all be okay. If you ever want to enter the Pick a Movie, leave a comment on YouTube, leave a comment on the Screaming Toilet, just let me know. And I will review the movie you pick. I keep throwing the names, so if you're not drawn, you stay in the hat until you're drawn. Raymond Pierce. That's who won. Let me know what you want me to watch, buddy. Now throw that name out of the hat and just add the new ones to this one. Okay, let me get into the Q&A. Nick, how do you feel about actors, directors who disown the horror movies they were in and made? You were in it. You can say what you honestly feel about it. You say, I'm not really, that movie wasn't really my thing. But as my friend Dustin says, you cash that paycheck. So, if you had to direct a long book adaptation, would you take the movie or miniseries route, and why? I would take a movie because I don't really like miniseries or television. I know that I'd probably had to cut a lot out of it, but oh well. Which creature or monster would make the perfect guard dog to keep prowlers, thieves, and undesirables at bay? Puppet Masters did pretty good in part 4 or 5. I don't remember which one it is, where they kill a bunch of crooks. Christopher Dallier, favorite movie from Full Moon Entertainment. I know I love Empire Pictures, Ghoulies too. but actually from Full Moon. You know what it probably is? It's probably Demonic Toys, if it actually like a legit full moon. I know Redneck Zombies doesn't count, really, but Demonic Toys. Always loved that one growing up. Favorite French horror film? Martyrs. Come on, Martyrs is just vastly superior to all the other ones. Inside next. And then, you know, I'm not a big fan of High Tension or Frontiers, really. I mean, High Tension's good, but I hate that ending. And Frontiers, I think, is... I don't know. I don't think it deserves to be in the same breath as those other movies. That movie's like a smorgasbord of all the other movies thrown together, trying to cash in on their success, and just rips off every movie around that time. It's the one that's not... like Martyrs and Inside have inspired movies. Frontiers was inspired by... all movies are inspired, but this one just like legit just... I don't even want to say... because inspiration and stealing is... you know, it just felt so cheap. To me, it felt like just a genuine ripoff of all the other ones, even though it had good special effects and very intense lead performances. Timothy Hayes, do you have a favorite Dracula or Frankenstein movie? Like actually the Universal or just in general favorite Frankenstein or Dracula movie? I really like Andy Warhol's Frankenstein, really sleazy and cheesy. Dracula. You know, I can't remember. I really like one of those Hammer ones. It's been a long time since I've seen the sequels to the Dracula, the 1931 Dracula, like House of Dracula and Son of Dracula and Dracula's Daughter. It's been years since I've seen those movies. But I really like the Hammer Dracula. I can't remember. I watched all them Hammer Draculas, like 9 of them, the Hammer Dracula series. And there's the 7th Voyage of the 7th Golden Vampire, but I don't really like Dracula in that one. It's The Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires. I prefer the one where all the guys go, the whole townsfolk. They 2 of them bleed together. It's Dracula has risen from the grave, and there's like 2 that their titles and they came out around the same time. I think it's Dracula has risen from the grave, or the one that came before after that, where they go to kill Count Dracula. I remember that scene being so awesome. And Count Dracula pulls a fast one on them, and when they go to kill him, he goes back and wipes out all the kids and the women of the town. And I just remember that being such an awesome Dracula movie. So, you know, it's been a long time since I watched the Hammer or Universal Dracula movies. So who is Brandon? The audio podcast you have is called Shut Up Brandon. Who is he? Well, Brandon is Brandon Salkill. He's an actor, a friend of mine. Me, Dustin, and Brandon started that podcast, and the old episodes are of us on there just kind of bullcrapping. And it was called Shut Up Brandon because me and Dustin are loud, and we talk over Brandon. So we were like, let's just call it Shut Up Brandon because we're always talking over him, and we just made a joke out of it. But yeah, Brandon is Brandon Salkill. Let's hop into the update, and I hope you guys enjoy everything in here. Okay, let's hop into the update. We got Slinger here. This is a German Blu-ray. This is this is Cyborg by Albert Pune. This is the director's cut, which I've never seen. Scream Factory recently released this. Probably a better scan of it, but it wasn't a director's cut, so I opted out on that. So, yeah, Cyborg. I used to love this movie as a kid. It's been years since I've seen it. Then we have the Kino, A Fistful of Dollars, special edition. Great movie, Sergio Leone, Clint Eastwood. Yeah, this is the first of the Man with No Name trilogy. Basically a remake of, Yojimbo. Later remade Last Man Standing, based off a book. Yeah, Fistful of Dollars. Classic. Then we have The Eagle Has Landed. This is by John Sturges, who did The Great Escape and Magnificent Seven. It's got a nice cast in here. Robert Duvall, Michael Caine, Donald Sutherland. I saw Donald Pleasance was in this. I've never seen this one. This is a Scream Shout Factory. It was pretty cheap. It was like $10, so I grabbed that. Could pass it up. Then we have Of Unknown Origin. This came early. I do these a week in advance, yeah, but Bull Moose, man, they're pretty fast on the shipping. It was cheaper at Bull Moose. I got points towards a discount, and it came sooner, and the shipping was free because I ordered 2 titles. So, you know, I don't know, Amazon's slipping. I'm going to go with Bull Moose sometimes. But Of Unknown Origin with Peter Weller, George P. Cosmatos, who did... what did he do? He did, I think he did Leviathan, but he did Tombstone and Cobra. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen this one. I reviewed this years ago. I think it got taken down because I used clips, but this is a pretty crazy movie about Peter Weller losing his mind versus a giant rat. Pretty cool stuff. We have the Vinegar Syndrome titles. Her Name Was Lisa. I don't know much about this one. This is a porno title. This is a Blu-ray. Then we have Sweetback's Baadasssss Song. So hard to say that. Melvin Van Peebles, pretty much the movie that gets the credit for kickstarting the blaxploitation genre. I've never seen it, believe it or not. You know, I have a lot of weak spots, but love Vinegar Syndrome. This looks awesome. So definitely had to jump in and grab in this one. Nice hard slipcover. Then we have Bloodsuckers from Outer Space. You know, I've seen parts of this movie. I have the old DVD, but this is by Glenn Coburg. He actually ran this little label called Whacked Films for a while. He's a pretty nice guy. He actually wrote a book called Whacked Movies, and it was a very funny book. But this one I remember being kind of zany, kind of fun. This is Bloodsuckers from Outer Space. For Vinegar Syndrome as well. I'm sure they do a great job in the remaster. That's the update. Back to the video, and thanks, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the update and everything, and the reviews, and the dual reviews. Remember to do the MVD Rewind Collection contest and everything. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and you guys have a good one.